So one thing that I heard at the end of one of my previous not so great relationship was how I've changed. And it wasn't like, oh my God, you become a better person because of moi. No, it was more like, what the F happened to you? Today we are going to look at Charlotte York and how she went from someone who was very, let's say, proper, doing the right thing, to someone who became very explosive, very controlling once she became the wife of the man she thought was perfect. You know how we do it here. We narrate, we analyze, we often judge, and we do pretend we know better and we do better. Hopefully. So to understand how someone becomes controlling, the first step is to understand how did they approach love, or what do they believe about love. And Charlotte is a believer. Oh, she most definitely believes in her perfect match.
I believe in soulmates.
But she also believes that all it takes is for you two to meet. Now, she does go from someone who is trying just to let it happen and not having any success or very little success, to someone who takes things into her own hands. I mean, if there's a soulmate and it will determine my whole life, then it's about time that I approach it with some strategy.
Marriage Incorporated.
Fine, make fun. But it's a very smart book.
She knew she does not want to date in vain anymore, entertain guys that are just playing around. But at the same time, instead of actually looking for a partner, and what does that mean? She started to look at, how can I get the wife status? How can I get the ring? How is this new song? Where the hell is my husband? Da, 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 da.
That part of my generation.
Are you dead right now? The problem is that sometimes when you're in the adrenaline of, I'm not gonna deal with people that don't deserve my time, that just want to play around, we kind of forget about what does it mean dating with intention, to actually get to know someone and recognize if you're a good partner, versus I'm just not playing around and I need someone serious, and once I find someone serious, then this should then just go, right? And meeting Trey is like meeting the perfect candidate for her role of a soulmate. I mean, first of all, they met in the cutest way. She almost got ran over the taxi he was in.
Well, anyway, it was fate.
Everything was perfect. He had that cha-ching. He had that, poise, manners, that old money vibe. And he was not difficult to get along with. Everything Charlotte wanted, Trey was on board.
Maybe we should get married.
Alrighty.
That's how it is, right? When you find your perfect match. The one that was built out of your rib at some point in your life. And, now you are lost in the universe and just trying to find yourselves. And from that point on, whatever they were dealing with, it wasn't about, okay, are we actually is this clicking? Are we good for one another? It was all about confirming that he is the right person.
I think he could really be the one.
That, I think, it's kind of like the thing that F's us up the most, especially if you are a believer in that one perfect person. And then especially if you tip your toes into tarot readings and astrology. When you meet the person that kind of checks off the boxes that you think are the boxes that you need, suddenly it's not anymore about getting to know them. It's about confirming that they are this person. Even when you should be like, red flag, you're like, it looks like a red flag, but because we are connected on a different level, our energies are born from the same thing. It's actually a green one, and only I can see it. So in a span of a month, Charlotte and Trey got engaged, and I think maybe 2 months or 3 months later, I don't even remember, they were already married. And before we continue, I am a believer of things going faster when, it's right. Before you freak out, what I mean is when you go through some shit and you get to know yourself a little bit better, you're kind of faster in recognizing what works and what doesn't work, right? And what maybe took you a year to recognize that emotional unavailability is not the hot, sexy vampire that is going to save you before the world erupts or whatever happens. And it's actually a person that needs to deal with their own things and maybe, go separate ways before all your blood gets drained out and you become someone you weren't planning on becoming, even though who wouldn't want to become a vampire? You're faster in recognizing that maybe not it's not going to give you what you think it's going to give you, so you look for someone who is available. But either way, we're talking about maybe a couple of months pass, maybe 2-3 months pass, and you establish that should we be exclusive, though I, in any case, believe in monogamous dating. Is that a saying? I don't know what the kids say these days. But overall, you kind of establish this, okay, we are committed to one another and we go from here. Not after 3 months, I'm engaged. It's clear that it's not about you building a relationship with someone. It's about you not being single anymore. You being in a relationship and finally having your time, right? You worked hard for it. So it should just happen. If Charlotte would date with intention in the right way, she would recognize how Trey's perfect match or how he fits perfectly is not because he's an actual person that matches her. He is a person who just follows what people tell him. His mom tells him what he should do, what he should eat, how should he behave. And now Charlotte is the one who's doing the same, and it works. And she doesn't recognize it, not because she's a dum-dum, but because she has a goal. This is her soulmate. So the fact that she can just rub his hand and tell him what she wants, and he just says, alrighty, well, isn't that just a part of being soulmates? And we could say in a twisted ways of life, Charlotte got hit with, what does it cost you when you are performing?
I wanted to save myself until we got married.
But sweetie, you're not a virgin.
When she tried to be seen more than just a wife material, Trey couldn't see her as a full woman she was. For him, Charlotte was the wife, and you don't do certain things with a wife, while another type of woman, a type of woman who puts herself in a magazine and, shares her parts. I don't know why am I explaining it in this weird way. That's the type of woman that he can release himself with. Because basically, Trey on some level reveals himself also as misogynist, right? There are women who are worthy and they should stay worthy. And that virtue means that they look good for me as a husband, and she is a wife and a mother and this and that, and she does everything correctly. And then there's a woman who is, and you can do sexual things with her. Did Charlotte see that? No, she didn't, because Charlotte wanted to be a good, patient wife that tries to fix this thing with her husband, who wasn't really up for it, right? He was shutting her down. He didn't want to talk about it. And it just more revealed their dynamics. Everything worked because there was no problem. Now, there are two things that I want to establish here. One thing is you presenting yourself as someone who you aren't. And then later on, when you are actually a different person, I don't know, your partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, they feel a little bit blindsided. They feel a little bit gaslit. They're like, who is this person right now? This does not make sense. And that's something that you need to, understand with yourself. Why do you need to perform someone in order to connect with someone else or be chosen or whatever, right? But then there's this other side, which I think it's much more common, and it's exactly what happened with Charlotte. Charlotte's performance was from genuine reasons and desires, right? She was taught how she should be in order to be chosen by a man, right? Or to be with someone, to become a wife, which was her whole life's wish, to have a family. And even naturally, when we meet someone, there is some kind of better version of ourselves that comes up. right? And it's not like you're plotting it at home, what you're going to do, how you should behave. It's just natural. And in that case, it is really telling who is your partner. Because if your partner, when you start to show more and more layers of yourself that come out naturally, starts to judge that and wants you to shut that down, then it's not about you were performing something and now it's your fault that, now you want more affection or whatever. It's more about that this person maybe never wanted to get to know the full you. They liked the version that was the best version of herself, and that's where it stops. And these problems between Trey and Charlotte just showed how incompatible they actually were. Because while Charlotte was trying to find a solution, but also give him space, it turned more or less into managing Trey's ego until she just realized that this is not gonna work, especially when Trey's solution was even that he would turn a blind eye if she would be with someone else, right? Like he did not want to even acknowledge that she is a real person who wants a real partner.
I don't want a husband who looks the other way. I want a husband who takes me in his arms and makes me not want to kiss the glass.
Charlotte's strategic approach to getting that ring became a little failed strategy. And right now, the two of them are separated. And honestly, Charlotte is done with men.
I wish there were no men.
Charlotte is in the angry phase of a breakup. And she is actually dipping her toes into the spirituality phase. When you try to figure out what is the meaning of everything. What is there beyond perfect soulmates? The phase before you then get into astrology and tarot readings, and then you're back on waiting for that soulmate again. She is reading Dalai Lama when knock knock on the door. It is Trey offering exactly what was missing in their marriage.
I can't stop thinking about you.
Honey, we're separated.
And how can Charlotte resist? Yes, everything was a shit show. Yes, she learned that Trey is not the perfect man she thought he was. But at the end of the day, he is literally giving her what was the problem the whole freaking time. And I think that's kind of common with many of us when, you're dating someone and you want them to contact you more often, let's say, and you're kind of had it, and then they give it to you because they realize that they need you. So now they're calling you more. But then you're kind of like, yes, they're calling me more now, but like I still don't feel like they're actually with me. I still don't feel that they're actually committed. And the other person is like, oh, is this not enough? What else do you want from me? That's how it goes with these things, right? When there are these surface level problems and we are fixing them, or the person finally shows up, but the real problem was never really addressed. The problem of Charlotte not being seen as a full independent person. She basically straight up asks Trey if the fact that he couldn't perform before is because he never wanted to marry her. Trey didn't want to get married to anyone in the first place. He was a certain age, there are expectations in society, expectations to carry on the McDougal family name. And when he met Charlotte, he knew that he will never get anyone better than her to be his wife.
I married you because I knew I'd never find anyone as wonderful as you to marry.
When you approach love like Charlotte did, getting out of the single status, and you're not actually looking for a partner, there is a very high chance that you're gonna come across a man who, like Miranda once said,
men are like cabs. When they're available, their light goes on.
Someone who knows that it's the right time for him and will just go with you even though he's not genuinely interested in partnership and you as a person. And this is where we need to kind of address the performance that we talked about, right? That they are both doing, but how they are two different performances. Charlotte's performance was a strategy, let's say, for her genuine wishes, right? She genuinely wanted to find her soulmate, to find her husband, to be a wife, to build a family. And her strategy was a little bit wonky, right? Her strategy was not getting her in that direction. It was getting her into the direction of meeting the person who performed because it was the right thing to do. Trey was the one who was doing something he didn't even want to do. And with this revelation, Charlotte, though she understands it, she is in a little bit of a conflict, right? Should she now go back to Trey and try it? They both made mistakes from the get-go. Or should she follow that gut feeling that's telling her, maybe there's more problems here than just, him being intimate?
He's just dying to get back together, but I don't know. I mean, is that why?
And at the beginning, she does resist Trey. Also because she's not even sure what the F is this. Because it's not like her and Trey are now talking about how to get the marriage back on track. It's more about Trey can now get his boat up, his sails up, and, he has a wife that needs to respond to that.
Are we dating or are we back together? Is he my boyfriend or my lover?
And yes, we've all been asked the big question, the life-defining question, should you label things or not? And if you've been with me for some of my videos, I think it's very clear that I'm the kind of person that labels things. Like, I mean, this is a fork. And if I label this as a fork, then I know that I eat food that I can fork with. That does not sound right. We did not intentionally shut down the camera when you asked about status on Facebook. And I'm genuinely shocked because I rarely use Facebook, so did not cross my mind. But babe, if that's what you need, we can most definitely update our status on Facebook.
Just crosses my mind.
Yeah. Oh, but is that really?
I'm kidding.
But this, are you serious or not?
It crossed my mind now when you mentioned it.
Now. Okay, yeah. Oh, so you're now saying that if you don't label it on social media, then there's no label that exists. Oh my God, how many men are gonna run with this now? I don't have social media, so I can't label things. But the labels that I'm talking about is labeling between the two of you. Is this a relationship or not? And people knowing about that. And that's what Charlotte is trying to do, right? She wants to figure out what this is. She wants to understand, are they gonna work on this marriage? But it's difficult to get an answer from a man who prematurely comes the second he sees her. So, she's in a little bit of a pickle.
Whatever this is we're doing isn't working.
But as any woman that has found herself into what should I do now, he's now giving me what I always asked him to give. And, he seems to want to be with me, but he wants to now take it slow or whatever. Charlotte is trying to be chill about it.
You guys were right. Once I stopped trying to define everything, I realized how great Trey and I have
It's clear to everyone, Charlotte, her friends, me, my man sitting here, the birds flying across the sky. If the sky is clear and not polluted, I don't know where I'm going. The Charlotte does not believe in this, okay? She's going with it because that's what you're kind of supposed to do, I guess. But she also feels that it's not really right because that's exactly how things have been with Trey this whole time. So they are hooking up left and right, everywhere, but in a proper way as a wife and husband.
Coat room Friday, bistro bathroom last night.
So basically, Charlotte is taking steps back. She is dating a player. But it's okay because they're married. Until she reaches the boiling point and she has had it. If this is what he wants, if this is how their relationship is going to continue, where he doesn't even care again about who Charlotte is as a person, and that maybe Charlotte herself does not find it quite exciting of doing it everywhere.
Trey, please, not here. You just wanted to have sex in front
She
of him.
slams the door on Trey and she is out. Charlotte was always like, she was bringing up situations, but she was patient, right? She was calm about it. Even when he was like, alrighty, if you get it on with the gardener, she didn't make a scene about it. She didn't yell at him. She didn't do anything of that. She just walked away and that was it. So the fact that this time she starts literally yelling at Trey and walking out, well, that's the first moment when Charlotte is becoming someone she wouldn't want to be as a partner. But what happens next is the first step, the first, how do you say, condition, the first step of forming a pattern where she gets what she wants with exploding on Trey, with walking out. Trey, later that evening, after she stormed out, calls her, and he is open to doing it in bed at her place, right? Doing it the right way. She was being patient. She didn't get what she wanted. She realized more and more that her needs don't matter. So she exploded. And when she exploded, Trey showed up in the way that she wanted him to show up. But again, it was only surface level, because what she really needed was not for the two of them to do it in bed, right? That's just the surface level or how it manifests these problems. It was the fact that Trey, yet again, didn't see her as a full person who has an equal say in how things are gonna go. And when Charlotte and Trey finally do it in bed, well, that's just another indication that Trey might be the soulmate, because only a soulmate gives you a mind-blowing orgasm. And this,
It was almost mind-blowing.
doing it in bed, makes Charlotte feel that they are ready for the next step, right? Moving in, getting this marriage on track again. But it's very clear that Trey is not there at all, because while she's talking about moving in back together, should we do this again? He thinks she's up for another round of humping.
3, 2, 1. Blast off!
And the pattern starts again. She ends up again going by his pace. And in some versions, that's totally fine. The problem is that Trey's pace stays at Trey's pace unless Charlotte pushes for something more. Also kind of benefiting from Charlotte trying to be patient to just be passive. Until, surprise, surprise, she cannot hold it anymore. And she just flips.
I'm done walking on eggshells. Oh, don't talk about moving in front of the
First you have patience, first you have an understanding, or better, you're kind of suppressing because you don't want to push the other person. But when you're with someone who doesn't recognize that, you start recognizing that you're erasing yourself. And you start demanding more and more, and you have less and less patience. It doesn't just happen, oh, you totally changed. There were probably many opportunities when I didn't have to change or didn't have to come to this point, but now I just can't take it anymore. And what happens? What do you think happens? Trey knocks on her door, and he is ready to get this marriage back on track.
Will you remarry me?
Yes, Trey.
So these two decide to get back together and get everything on track as the husband and wife they are supposed to be, right? Charlotte is getting what she wants, and that's all that matters, right? Not really, There is still no addressing of Trey's problem and how he is not really entering this relationship as an equal partner who contributes, but just someone who is very passive in this whole situation. And how this is still not resolved is very clear when Charlotte needs to fight for the position of who's gonna manage Trey, rather than addressing why does Trey need someone else to manage him. Bunny, his mother, is in the picture as she's always been, and when she is crossing boundaries, somewhere along the way, Charlotte rather fights Bunny and wins being the one who manages Trey rather than actually addressing stuff with Trey, which is kind of a pattern, right? Since they got together till this moment when they're again back together, there's always a silver lining of Charlotte thinking she is with her soulmate or trying to confirm that she's with her soulmate and not realizing that she's living this life alone. But things get a little bit brighter because when finally they set up their apartment in their own taste or in Charlotte's taste, it is time for the next phase in their relationship. You know what they say, when you have problems, the thing that it's gonna solve it the best is having a baby. No one says that. No one should say that. But what starts almost like it's something the two of them decide together quickly goes down south. Trey can genuinely be excited about something and wanting to have this new experience with Charlotte, right? The problem is that every time it gets hard, he pulls back, and it will be no different this time.
The same problem he had when he couldn't get it up. It became hard for him,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, and their sex life suffered because of that.
Yeah, and he pulled back. Though for him, he would say, I've put a lot of effort. I didn't even want to get married, and now I'm getting married, so tricky situation. So if we say that Trey is someone who does not like to do things when it gets hard, right? He's all up for the idea, but the effort part, well, you make sure that your wife puts in all the work.
I'm thinking about quitting my job.
Trey suggested?
Now again, Charlotte is a strong woman. She knows what she wants. She might deviate a little bit sometimes, but overall, she has a strong sense of self. So when Trey proposes this, it's not about should I do what Trey is proposing. It's about how do I now convince myself that that was actually my decision also, which is very clear when she gives this news to her friends.
I'm quitting my job, have a baby, and cure AIDS. I choose my choice. I choose my choice.
Because when you are secure in your decision of being a stay-at-home mom, because your, decision is to focus on all your time on raising your kids, do you really need to also believe that maybe you will help finding cure for AIDS? Like, do you actually need to have a purpose greater than that justifies why you left a previous purpose or previous career choice, which was, working at a gallery? At this point, Charlotte went through multiple mini steps where she was going over herself or letting herself go, not showing up for herself in order to show up for Trey and the marriage, that by the time they get to the project baby, she has no tolerance or patience left to not get what she wants. And this turns Charlotte from someone who is patient or tries to be patient and understanding, even when Trey is shutting her out, to someone who does not include Trey in life decisions at all. Charlotte finds out that her body needs a bit more help when it comes to getting pregnant, but also the reality or chances of getting actually pregnant are quite low.
15% chance of ever having a baby.
So she starts to think about adoption. Now, for Charlotte, this is a natural next step, right? If I can get pregnant, but I still want a child, and we both want a child, the next step is adoption. But she never actually discusses that with Trey.
Just in case, I put us on the list for a mandarin baby.
On one side, she's used to that Trey just goes with things, right? He's not involved. She's the one who's carrying the whole situation. And on the other side, because there were so many instances when she had to let go of her control, that this is just not it anymore. Now, let's not get it twisted, okay? Trey be a little bit weird, Again, I've mentioned this at the beginning, but also in my previous videos, how he has this misogynistic, patriarchal views that come through here and then. And, when she is going through IVF and asking him to help and so on, he is not very shy with saying, we should do it the natural way, right? Or his mother says that she's not going to have a Mandarin kid, right? Blatantly being racist. All of those are again indications that Charlotte should not be fighting for this marriage and for this union. but she also kind of trained herself to not anymore fight with them or even expect anything from them, but just go it at her own pace, and she will reassure she will get what she actually needs. And how far Charlotte got in being someone who was totally different from who she was at the beginning is seen when she has the last explosion and she just yells at Trey in front of everyone.
All you have to do is jerk off into a plastic cup.
Charlotte, get a hold of yourself.
So Charlotte, someone who is always very well aware of how do you act in certain settings, who knows the rules, who wants to be like that, who aspires to those things, has no tolerance, no fucks left. And it's easy at this point to look at Charlotte as, oh my God, you're so wrong, you're toxic, this is not okay. But sometimes you also need to look at how did she get to this place, right? Because that's the part that will, in this case, help Charlotte or you, or it helped me to understand why did I come to this place? What was I doing from the get-go that was just building me then becoming very controlling, paranoid, demanding, and things like that. All of this leads to Trey and Charlotte having an honest conversation for the first time, or at least Trey being honest about the whole situation. He expresses that while yes, he wanted to have a kid, the way everything is hard, the way everything is a struggle, he kind of lost the wish to have one. He wants an easy life. He wants to play golf.
Man, I think I could be happy with just the two of us. I'm not sure you can, though.
Now, obviously, Charlotte is not taking this very well because what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? We went through all of this. I did all of this. You even said, quit your job so you can be at home and have a family. And now when it comes to actually have a family, you're like, you know what? It's messing up my schedule with the boys at the golf court. So let's calm down, shall we? But the tip of the iceberg is when Trey actually tries to bring something to this whole situation. When he tries to bring good vibes, tries to make her feel a little bit better about this whole situation. I mean, naturally, she will accept that he does not want a kid anymore, so they will not have a kid anymore. But what he can bring, just as a little bit of a lift me up, is cocaine. No. I need to blur that out because ads are not going to be adding up on our account. Man, like bars.
Damn, I didn't see that coming.
Wow, neither did I. He brings her, listen to this, a cardboard cutout of a baby.
Oof, I remember that.
Carrie, you're funny. Cardboard baby. I mean, that's funny, right?
And if you think about it, it's kind of the representation of what their whole relationship and their whole marriage was, right? All surface level solutions, but real problem is not really addressed. Or performances, an image of something, right? Trey and Charlotte getting together, Trey was just playing an image of a husband when in reality he didn't even want to be married, right? And then now when she wants a family and a baby, he brings an idea of that, like a cardboard fake thing, And for the first time, Charlotte is seeing who Trey actually is, or that Trey has been this person the whole time. Like, this is a moment when she cannot really deny it anymore. They want totally different things, and every time things get hard, he is not willing to put in the effort. He is not willing to show up as a partner for her the same way she's been trying to show up as a partner for him every time he needed.
I want a baby. I thought that's what you wanted too.
So did I.
Finally, Charlotte realizes that her and Trey are not gonna walk this earth together hand in hand. He's a little bit of a moron. And it's time to let it all go. And despite their marriage basically ending, Trey shows up for this last performance.
Trey, you don't have
No.
to.
This is important to you.
The last perfect image that inspires many around the globe, even though behind it all, it's a pile of diarrhea. Was that too much?
No.
But if you think that this is just, how things go for Charlotte, not to worry, because if there's one thing Charlotte believes in, is that every person has actually two great loves. And this was her first one. Whoops, I'm flipping not intentionally.
Everyone knows you only get 2 great loves in your life.
Yes, Charlotte knows how to manage the rules so it fits her, okay? We know that. But also, if Charlotte is good at one thing, is like Anthony, her friend says, picking up whatever man from the street and turning him into the right kind of man.
You could take any guy off the street, fix him up, and make him into something wonderful.
So who's gonna be the next candidate for Charlotte's position of a soulmate?
Oh. Who the hell ordered blueberry bagels?
And more importantly, who's gonna be the one who's doing all the changing? Let me know in the comments below. Have you experienced anything like that? Have you, turned yourself in a little bit of a monsterish partner? And when you start to figure out why did it happen, how it happened, you also realize that you made some steps from the get-go that were not the best. I had my journey. I talked about it many times. You can see it in all of the videos present on this channel. Let's relate, okay? And remember, trust your individuality and connect authentically.